connection between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why do I have to mention the Prophet? What does he have to do with it? I feel so disappointed that someone, and unfortunately there are a lot of Muslims who do not really know who Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is. Today, briefly, I will just remind you that there, once upon a time, there was a great man. His name was Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I know most of us probably have heard the seerah at least once, and this is not really talking about the seerah, it's more like talking about the passion of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and what he had to go through for us to be Muslims today. And sometimes I wonder, if someone told Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam 1400 years ago, people will be sitting in a place called College Station, which is so far away from Mecca, to talk about you. How do you think he would have felt back then? Now, if I ask if the Prophet ﷺ was with us today, would he be proud? If he comes right through that door now, would I run to him and give him a hug? Or I will just hide because there is nothing really I can say to him that makes him proud of me? What have you and I done to make our Prophet proud? We all know how it all started in the cave, and we heard the story many times that Jibreel alayhi salam came to him and he said, Iqra, and he said, I cannot read. And by the way, it's a common mistake. People say that Jibreel asked him to read, and the Prophet ﷺ answered, I cannot read. That's not what happened. Jibreel said, Iqra, and that can mean two things: recite and read. Since Jibreel alayhi salam did not have a scroll or anything with him for the Prophet ﷺ to read, it was a recite. But the Prophet ﷺ wanted just to end this scary conversation. He did not know what. You should imagine yourself in this dark cave by yourself, and there's a creation of Allah appears right before you. You have never seen anything like that before. And not only that, he asks you to do something you cannot do. The Prophet ﷺ wanted just to end this conversation, to go back. So he said, I cannot read. And Jibreel alayhi salam said, recite. He said, I cannot read. And we know the rest and how the first surah was revealed, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, and how the Prophet ﷺ ran back to Khadija. From this day on, the life of the Prophet ﷺ changed. And I hope after today's khutbah, when we say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it will not be the same. This traditional saying that I was told since I was young, when you hear his name, you have to say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because he said, Al-Bakhilu man dhukirtu indah wa lam yusalli alayhi. Stingy is the one who hears my name and does not say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. 3 years running day and night, calling people to Islam in secret, only those whom he trusted. After 3 years of this hard work, how many Muslims do you think he got? Around 50. 3 years and you get 50? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders him, it's time to announce Islam. فَاصْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرْ in Surah Al-Hijr. It's time to announce this religion. So the Prophet ﷺ goes to the mountain of Safa, and he gathers everyone and he says, what do you say about me? What's your opinion in me? They said, you never lied to us. مَا جَرَّبْنَا عَلَيْكَ كَذِبًا مِنْ قَبْلِ. He said, فَإِنِّي نَذِيرٌ لَكُمْ بَيْنَ يَدَيْ عَذَابٍ شَدِيدٍ. Verily, I am a warner to you that there will be a severe torture, severe punishment. Abu Lahab said, curse you. Is that why you gathered us here today? From this day on, the mushrikeen did not leave anything you can think of that can bother the Prophet ﷺ except that they did it. They would wait for him and in the streets and the alleys, just whenever they see him, they will tell their children, throw dust and whatever you can in his eyes, just hurt this man. Make it a habit. Whenever you see him, do something that bothers him. He would go back home. The one who opens the door was his daughter Fatima, 7-year-old girl, 8-year-old. She will cry to see her father in this situation. And he will say, لا تبكي يا بني إن الله ناصر أباك. Oh my daughter, do not cry. Allah has promised your father victory. One time he was praying by the Kaaba. Khutba bin Abi Mu'ayyid, one of the people who heard the Prophet ﷺ the most. He went and he waited until the Prophet ﷺ was in sujood, prostration, and he got this. There was a dead camel, a few days. He got the insides, the guts, the intestines of the dead camel, and he put it in the back of the Prophet ﷺ. He started laughing with his friends. The Prophet ﷺ could not get up from sujood because if he gets up this situation, everything is gonna come all over him. So he waited until Fatima radiallahu anha came again, cleaning that dirt and then this nasty stuff from the back of the Prophet ﷺ, crying again, seeing her father in this situation, and he will always say the same thing to her. Don't cry, oh my daughter, for Allah has promised your father victory. How long do you think you can take this treatment from the people of your city? A day, 2 days, a week, a month? 10 years. 10 years, and the Prophet ﷺ had to go through this. To make things even worse, after 10 years, there was the year of sadness, the year of sorrow. So many things happened to the Prophet ﷺ that year. Nobody accepted Islam. There was no revelation. The way out for the Prophet ﷺ was when he receives the revelation from Allah, to give him the patience, to give him the power, so he can keep going. That year there was no revelation. His uncle Abu Talib, his first supporter, or one of his first supporters, died, and his wife Khadija died. Imagine the same thing after all these years of hardship and torture from your own family. Abu Lahab is his uncle. From your neighbors, to get to that year, the year of sadness. What did the Prophet ﷺ do when that happened? If it was you or me, I would say I did everything I could. That's it. 10 years, people are hurting me, and now I'm losing my family. Khadija's dead. But that's not what he said. Our beloved Prophet ﷺ, he decided to go to At-Taif, which are around 33-35 miles away, on foot, with his servant Zayd ibn Haritha. When he talked to the people over there, they were even worse to him than the people of Mecca. When he was about to leave, they lined up, throwing bricks and stone at him, to the point that his legs were covered with blood. Imagine how he felt back then. All these years, and now those people hurt him the same. Well, what did he do to get this? He was peacefully inviting them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He just wanted them to go to Jannah. After all these years, and then the people of At-Taif did that to him, he was coming back to Mecca. He was feeling really tired, really sad after all this that happened to him. And he made a beautiful dua. It's a great dua for you to learn. Whenever you think that all the doors are sealed shut, and that wherever you go, there is no way out. No, there is no helper. Remember to make that dua. Allahumma inni ashku ilayka dha'fa quwwati wa khillata hilati wa hawani ala al-nas. It's a long dua. For the sake of time, there's no time to say the whole thing. But the summary of the dua: Oh Allah, to you I complain. I do not complain to anyone else except to you. That I am weak and helpless, and the people have hurt me. He keeps saying, and then he gets to the point when he says, إِن لَمْ يَكُنْ بِكَ غَضَبٌ عَلَيَّ فَلَا أُبَالِي. If you are not angry with me, then I do not care. Imagine, after all this happened to him for the sake of Allah, he still says, if you are pleased with me, you're not angry with me, then I do not care about whatever happens. Beautiful dua. I wish if I had the time to go through the whole dua. أسألك بنور وجهك الذي أشرقت له الظلمات. I ask you by the light of your face that erased the darkness, that you never be angry with me. And then he says, لك العتبى حتى ترضى ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بك. Jibreel alayhi salam comes to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jibreel himself missed the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some say the angel of the mountains. He said, O Prophet of Allah, give me the order and I will destroy these people. Not a single one will be left behind. Not a single one will be left alive. Just give me the order, I will make these two mountains collapse on them. What would you say if you were in the Prophet ﷺ's shoes? What would you say after all this that has happened to you? What would I say? Please do it and let me watch. Wait until I get there, I want to watch, because these people hurt me. He said, no. Maybe Allah will bring out of the the wombs of their mothers, a new generation who will say La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. What mercy. By the way, my dear brothers, let me tell you one thing. This is the true Islam. The true Islam is not to come only, of course, this is, I'm not saying it's not important. It starts here in the masjid, but that's not where it ends. Many people think if I come and I pray 5 times a day, which is great, and I do the sunnah, I have done everything there is to do about Islam. That's only the beginning. The true Islam was when I forgive others, those who have hurt me. This is the true Islam. When I have the power to hurt them back. This is the true Islam. When a brother comes and he hurts my feelings, and I can return it even worse. But because the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ tells me that's not what he did. He made dua for them. May Allah bring forth out of their wombs a new generation who says La ilaha illallah. A beautiful surah was revealed, by the way, because of this incident. وَالضُّحَى, by the dawn, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى, when the night seems too long. You know, when you are troubled, when you have a problem, the night seems it's not going to end. Allah swears by the dawn, مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى, your Lord has never abandoned you. Because the mushrikeen were saying about the Prophet since that year there was no revelation, the Lord of Muhammad has forgotten about him. And then later on Allah says, وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. It's a promise that your Lord will keep giving you until you are satisfied, until you are pleased. Years pass, and the Prophet ﷺ performs hijrah. The battle of Badr, again, skipping a lot of things for the time, and then the battle of Uhud. We know at our time, if you have an important leader, that leader will not be out in the battle fighting, because he's too important. If he gets killed, we're going to be in trouble. How about the Prophet ﷺ? He was still receiving the revelation. He was in the front lines. Even the companions used to say, when the battle is so heated up and the heads are flying in the air, who will go and hide behind the Prophet ﷺ? In the battle of Uhud, the mushrikeen noticed that the Prophet ﷺ was fighting in the same area, so they kind of like made a hole behind him, and the ground is rocky. The next day the Prophet ﷺ is fighting, was not paying attention, stepping back, fell in the hole. He struck his head against the ground, lost some of his teeth. He was trying to get up. Ibn Qami'a, one of the mushrikeen, came, hit him with the side of the sword, with the sword on the side of the helmet he was wearing. The helmet cut through his cheek all the way to the bone. What pain did he have to go through? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The companions ran. They wanted to take this helmet off the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's face, but they could not. Just imagine a piece of metal attached to your jaw. How painful can that be? They could not pull it out until Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah radiyallahu anh, he pulled it out with his own teeth. He lost his teeth in the process. When they said we love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they meant it. When we say it, we fail even to follow the smallest of his sunnahs. When I say the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says this in the hadith at our time, a person comes here, well, this does not make sense to me, and this I don't think this. The companions really loved him. They wanted to. By the way, there was a lot of blood in the Prophet ﷺ's mouth. Every time he spits it out, his mouth is full with blood again. Finally, they had to bring a burning cloth to put it on the wound. A fresh wound in the face, you want to start bleeding by burning it. How painful can that be? It happened to our beloved Prophet ﷺ. Now the Prophet ﷺ, he raised his hands. He wanted to make dua in the middle of the battle. All the companions said, "Sayyid'u alayhim." He's going to ask Allah to destroy them. These people are gone. The Prophet ﷺ, I mean, after all this, what did he say? Allahumma hdi qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Oh Allah, guide my people, for they do not know. Who can say this at this time? At our time now, you go to a brother saying, you know, the other brother maybe hurt your feelings, forgive him for the sake of Allah. If he was really a good brother, he will say, give me some time, it just happened yesterday or the day before, I still feel bad about it. Maybe after a few days, a few weeks. The Prophet ﷺ, on the spot, Not only he forgave them, he made dua for them. Oh Allah, guide my people, they do not know what they're doing. He was in pain. He was bleeding. Some say he got the migraine before that hit on the head after that. And now years passed. The Prophet ﷺ is 63 years old. Difficult life. And by the way, those who tell you only the 23 years of the Risala of the message was difficult, that is not true. All of his life was difficult. To lose both parents at a young age, never got to see his father. The other mother passed away when he was 6. To have to move from one house to the other, his grandfather took care of him, and then his uncle, and then to have to work even when he was young. He lived a difficult life. You know why? Although the Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved the Prophet ﷺ the most, why did he have to go through all this? So you and I will not have an excuse on the day of judgment when Allah tells me, why did you not wake up for Fajr? What would I tell him? Well, the alarm did not wake me up. I had to stay late last night. I was chatting with someone on Facebook. That's going to be our excuse? The Prophet ﷺ had to go through all this, so we will be Muslims today. So you and I will be called Muhammad and Ahmad, and our daughters and sisters will be called Fatima and Khadija. He did all this, he went through all this for us. And the day will come when he will be standing by his howl, waiting for you and me to pass by to give us this drink that we will never be thirsty after we drink. On that day when there is no drink, the day when the sun is just above the heads, when you see the Prophet ﷺ and he sees you, would you have anything to say to him? أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. الحمد لله في الأولين، الحمد لله في الآخرين، الحمد لله في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. عباد الله، إن الله قد أمركم بأمر عميم بدأ به بنفسه وثنى بملائكة قدسه. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت وسلمت وباركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. He was getting really tired, very sick. He was asked to be taken to the cemetery of the Shuhada of Uhud, those who were killed in the Battle of Uhud. On the way back, he cried. And he said, اشتقت لإخواني. I miss my brothers. 1400 years ago, the Prophet ﷺ cried because he missed his brothers. They asked him, the companions, we're here, how can you miss us? He said, no, you are my companions. My brothers are those who come after you. They say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah, without seeing me. I will be waiting for them by my will to give them that drink. He cried because he missed us 1400 years ago. Now we hear his name, we do not even say sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, I will be waiting for them by my will to give them that drink when they pass by. The companions asked, how would you know them? How can you identify who's from your ummah and who's not on that day? The Prophet ﷺ said, how can a shepherd miss his sheep? How can I miss them and the light of wudu is in their faces? And there's a lot of Muslims who do not even make wudu nowadays. Finally, when the companions saw the Prophet ﷺ really sick, he cannot walk anymore, he needed help, they all gathered in the masjid. And there was a lot of noises. The Prophet ﷺ asked what's going on. They asked him, the people are worried about you. He asked, take me there. And he wanted to give his final talk to the people. He said, أيها الناس, oh people, كأنكم تخافون علي. Are you worried about me? They said, of course, O Prophet of Allah. He said, oh people, my meeting with you, موعدي معكم ليس الدنيا. It is not in this dunya. The true meeting is on the hawl. Wallahi كأني أراه من مقامي هذا. Wallahi, as if I am looking at it from this place. And And he said, "O people, I do not fear for you poverty. It's not poverty that Muslims are going to have a problem with later on. What I fear for you is this dunya, that you're going to be competing over it, and it will destroy you the same way it destroyed those who are before you, who were before you." Isn't that what's happening now? When was the last time you competed with someone else because you memorized more Quran, or you learned more hadith, or you prayed more tahajjud and more taraweeh, or you did more extra prayers? We compete who has a bigger house, who has a better degree, who has a bigger account at the bank. When was the last time we competed the same way the companions competed? And then the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah, Allah fi salah. Fear Allah when it comes to salah. The prayer is not something to be messed with. Allah, Allah fi nisa. Fear Allah when you treat women. And the final thing he said, there was a slave. Allah gave him the choice. Would you like to stay in the dunya, or would you like to meet with your Lord? And he decided to meet with his Lord. The people did not understand who's that slave, except when Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. He stood up, and normally when the Prophet is giving the talk, everyone is quiet. Abu Bakr could not stop himself. He just stood up and he said, "Fadaytuka bi abi." O Prophet of Allah, I would sacrifice my parents for you, my children, my money, everything. Just stay with us. The people were angry with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. How dare you interrupt the Prophet ﷺ? And listen to what the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, leave Abu Bakr alone. No one has done me a favor except that I have returned their favor. Except Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. I could not return his favor, so I asked Allah to return his favor for me. What a great rank for Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. He was taken back to his house. Fatima came, the daughter that had to go through a lot supporting her father. She saw him in that situation. You know how she knew it was serious? She said that the first time my father sees me, he does not get up and kiss me on my forehead. What are the fathers that follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When was the last time you kissed your daughter on her forehead, following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No matter what the Prophet's doing, when Fatima comes inside the house, he will get up and kiss her on her forehead. She knew he could not get up anymore. She cried. The Prophet ﷺ called her, said, come close to me. He whispered something in her ear. She cried, and then he said, come again. He whispered something. She laughed. Later on, they asked her, what did he say? She said, the first time he told me he was dying that day. That's why I cried. And the second thing he told me, I will be the first one to follow him from his family. Imagine, she laughed because she knew she's going to die. But as long as she's following her father, she did not care. The Prophet ﷺ asked everyone to leave the house, and there was only Aisha radiallahu anha. What a beautiful way. And by the way, many people ask, the Prophet ﷺ is the best of mankind. We probably would imagine that he will die in a battle like a hero, on his horse with a sword in his hand, or maybe in the masjid giving a talk, or maybe praying. But that's not what happened. He died in his house. His head was in his wife's lap, to tell us that this is what Islam is all about. Islam is about family, husband and wife, and children loving each other for the sake of Allah, practicing the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When everybody left the house, Aisha is the one that tells us the hadith, since there was no one there. She said, I heard. And of course she could not see the angel, but she heard that Jibreel alayhi salam comes inside the house. He said, As-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. The angels addressed him like Rasulullah. Who are we today? And there are some people who try to insult our Prophet. By the way, my dear brothers, we do not need to defend our Prophet. His rank is too high for anyone to insult him. When they try to insult him, they are insulting us, basically because we do not follow his sunnah. When we follow his sunnah, it's easy to go and do a demonstration and get mad and scream in the streets, but that's not the way. When we follow his sunnah, no one would dare say a word about our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jibreel says, O Prophet of Allah, the angel of death is outside the door. He's too shy to enter the house without your permission. Imagine, the angel of death will not care about anyone. When the time comes, he will just do it. He's too shy to enter the house without the permission of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, give him permission. The angel of death comes inside. He said, As-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent me with this request. This you have the option. Would you like to stay in the dunya or you to meet with your Lord? Aisha radiallahu anha says, although the Prophet ﷺ was tired and he could not move much, but when he heard this, he got excited. Started pointing up, saying, Bal al-Rafiq al-A'la, Bal al-Rafiq al-A'la. I choose my highest companion. See what he called Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He asked for a miswak to clean his teeth, by the way, because he wanted to meet with Allah with the fresh breath. Aisha said, the miswak, you know, the first time you use it, it's kind of rough and hard. I used it first, just to soften it up a little bit for the Prophet ﷺ, and then I gave it to him. She said that was the happiest moment in my life when my saliva got mixed with my husband's. This is what Islam is all about. The Prophet ﷺ, when he chose to be by the side of Allah, the angel of death comes close to his head and say, oh, the pure soul, the soul of Muhammad ibn Abdullah, come back to your Lord who's pleased with you and not angry. Aisha radiallahu anha says, I felt his head was getting heavier. I looked at him and I knew that he passed away. She ran to the masjid saying, Mata Rasulullah, Mata Rasulullah. The Messenger of Allah has passed, the Messenger of Allah has passed. Everyone was in tears in the masjid. Umar ibn Khateeb, this great, tough, strong companion who understands only the language of power, who was never seen crying before. He got up and he said, whoever says the Prophet has died, I will kill him right now. He took his sword out. He did not die, he could not accept the fact. You see how much they loved him? He could not accept the fact that the Prophet ﷺ can really die. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu came inside the house. He just wanted to make sure that the Prophet really died. He held him and he said, Wa Safiyah, Wa Habibah, Wa Khalilah, oh my dear companion, my beloved, I loved you when you were alive and I still love you after you have died. He went out to tell the people that it can happen. But Umar was too loud, he could not speak. So Abu Bakr had to recite an ayah from the Quran in Surah Ali Imran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما محمد إلا رسول قد خلت من قبله الرسل أفإن مات أو قتل انقلبتم على أعقابكم ومن ينقلب على عقبيه فلن يضر الله شيئا. Muhammad is only the last messenger. A lot of messengers were sent before him. If he dies or gets killed, you're going to turn around and run. Isn't that what we're doing now? And then when Umar heard that, he dropped the sword and he ran. He was looking for a tree to sit under so he can cry. Bilal got up to call for the next salah, for the adhan. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, until he got to Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. He said, every time I say this, I look at the Prophet ﷺ's room. Normally he comes out to lead the prayer. When I said Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, but this time he did not come. I was hoping that he will come out one more time, but he did not. He started crying and everyone in the city was crying. He started over Allahu Akbar until he got to Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. The Prophet was not coming out. After 3 times he went back, he went down and he said, oh Abu Bakr, please forgive me. I cannot call the adhan for anyone after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear brothers, I try to be brief. There is a lot to say. What I'm trying to say here is, if you truly love the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, first, you say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from your heart. Second, you follow his true sunnah. It's easy to pray to Ruk'ah Sunnah after Dhuhr in the masjid. Anyone can do it. But it's not easy to stop yourself when you're angry. It's not easy to forgive one another for the sake of Allah. It's not easy to give da'wah to the people even if they were bad to you. That is the true sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيما عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت إنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. رب اغفر لي ولوالدي رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار. الله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه